change. Aware of your breath. Take deep breath. Amadadvam. You can also sing along with her. Samadadvam. Samhomanam sijanatam. Avagyam jata purvi. Avasati. Amani vaya kuti. Amanam hridayaniva. Amanamostu manu. Avaha Ushaha Sati. It's a wonderful moment that you all welcome in this one day webinar. It's a hybrid mode. And on the theme of WHO World Health Day, our planet, our health. On top of the Center for Yogic Sciences, with immense pleasure, I welcome you all to this International Hybrid Mode webinar on our planet, our health. Our planet, our health means the health of the planet influences our own personal health and well-being, as well as our communities, families, and economies. So the eminent speakers are here with us to give a talk on "Do not wait to lose weight" by Dr. Venkateswaran sir from Chennai Government Medical College. Healthy elimination of anger means healthy elimination of anger through yogic samatva. All these topics are very vital topic, and a day-to-day life it is useful to you. And the topics are covered by eminent speakers from national and international speakers. Okay, and the duration is very limited this time. Maybe next time we will give much time. The speaker, Swami Kitananda's old relaxation, Nada Yoga applications for health and well-being by Yoga Charini, Dr. Sangeeta Narabai. So the fifth speaker, Yoga Therapy by Ellen Nasha from Australia. The healthy elimination of anger through yogic samatva, that I already mentioned that he is a wonderful person, that Yogacharya Bharata is very from USA. So he's a very experienced spiritual as well as priest. So it's interesting to know from him how to eliminate our anger. Okay. Then the things, the acknowledge that Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani is a very eminent speaker in both national and international level, and he is also invited to this program, and he will give the lecture on Ashtanga Yoga, traditional and modern perspectives. So today, fortunately, we have all national and international very highly precious persons. So in this moment, I welcome Dr. Gopinath sir to give welcome address.
Morning. I feel privileged to give the welcome address on this international webinar. Yoga is the ancient science which has emerged in India. Yoga is derived from the word yuj. Yuj, it means union of mind, body, and soul. So here, this International Yoga Day is celebrated on every year, June 21st. After the deliberations which has been held in the UN General Assembly in 2014 in December. And this idea was proposed by our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. And theme for this year is Yoga for Humanity. The theme emphasizes on the benefits of yoga in COVID and how yoga helps in achieving holistic health. And also, NMC National Medical Commission has made it mandatory to have yoga in the medical curriculum, and they have made it compulsory in your foundation course also. It was being held for 10 days at least in our students to practice yoga. So they have made it as a mandatory one. And here we have assembled for this international webinar on our planet, our health. So that is the theme for the webinar. And I feel honored and stand before this gathering. Dean sir, Dr. P.F. Kotu sir, and our for his speed for this entire arrangement has been made very nicely by his approval. And I welcome our Dr. Vishnu Bhatt sir, Director Medical Research for this international webinar. I welcome our Dean HV, Dr. V.N. Mahalakshmi ma'am, for making this event a successful one, and we are also posting it live on a website. And I welcome our medical superintendent, Dr. K. Jaisingh sir, for this international webinar. I welcome our VP Academics, Dr. Rajan sir, and VP Student, Vice Principal Student, Dr. Arunachal sir. And also I welcome DMS, Dr. Deepa ma'am, and our Dr. Jaykumar sir for this international webinar. Let's hope this international webinar be a grand success by all our eminent speakers. Thank you.
Vishnu sir, please seat. Dr. Sir. Gopinath sir. Requested Dr. R. Kumar sir. I hope now speakers are ready. Please start, sir. I hope are you able to see, sir? Please unmute yourself, sir. Dr. S.J. Venkateswaran, sir. For the day, just little technical problems. On behalf of sir, I invite Dr. Sir and HOD of Department of Yoga, Government Yoga and Naturopathy Medical College and Hospital, Chennai, and he is very good in lifestyle management, obesity, and he is often guest faculty for Anna Institute Management, TN State Judicial Academy, and many prestigious institutions. And he received many awards from Government of Tamil Nadu and Dr. MGR Medical University. And we welcome you all. This one. And he published a book chapter on obesity, the textbook of clinical naturopathy yoga by N. Pune. And then he is a very good consultant in health and wellness in many organizations and presented a lifestyle, NCT non-communicable diseases, lifestyle disease, and diet, yoga, all India radio programs and Doordarshans and various satellite television channels. He is a member of various academic committees of the universities and institutions, and he often writes many articles, regularly writing articles to the leading magazines, newspapers, and record many videos on the yoga and naturopathy for social media. And he is a very good speaker at many international and national conferences. We welcome you, sir. Please start your session, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Are you able to share this?
Hello.
Are you able to share your screen, sir? Condition, sir?
You please allow us. You have disabled. Hello.
Now it's coming.
Hello. Is it audible? Hello.
Sir?
Is it audible, sir?
Yeah. The screen is visible, sir.
Shall we? Can I start? The screen change.
Yes, sir. I do.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You may proceed, sir.
Okay.
You are audible.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good morning to everyone, and I would like to thank the organizers for giving me these opportunities to meet everyone in the auditorium. I think mostly students, and I feel they don't require this topic, but this is
Your voice is not
present
audible.
now. Presently,
Voice is okay. Only
something.
here is a problem with the speaker. Correcting the technical issues. Sir.
Yeah. Can I go ahead? Is it audible, sir?
Yes, your voice is audible.
Yeah. Okay. So that
Now audible.
the topic is don't wait to lose weight. Why? Many of us, even everybody want to slim and trim, but the problem is when to start. Okay, we'll start tomorrow. When is tomorrow? There is no tomorrow as such. So actually speaking, the moment if you have made up your mind, if somebody wanted to lose weight, take it granted, it is done. That is what normally I say. As far as I am concerned, I feel weight loss is the most easiest one where you don't require something expensive treatment and all. It's purely on the patient's hand. How we feel the health is in our hand. Even losing weight is very, very simple. That everyone should know. We don't require any major intervention into the body. I mean surgical or anything. From the beginning, if somebody is conscious about their weight, it is damn easy. So the first thing is, the moment you start with the first step, then you can reach whatever the goal. Even losing 40 to 50 kgs in a year is very, very, very simple. And I have given approximately 40 to 50 kg in a year for many, many, many people. And they keep losing on their own. What my intention is, it is not with the doctor's hand or in a doctor's clinic or hospital. And it is actually in the patient's lifestyle. So what we need to, as a doctor, as a clinician, we need to educate the patient what is the right way of our lifestyle, particularly maintaining even the weight. So first, before getting into that, we should know what is overweight and obesity. Please remember, being overweight is nothing wrong. You can be overweight, don't worry. But see that you are not obese, because obese is regarded as a disease recently. Some years back, obesity is not regarded as a disease. So the moment if you know that you are obese, you need to take care immediately. Otherwise, you are under risk. What is for risk? I mean for life threatening. That is the thing. We think being a chubby is something a good sign. Okay, the child is chubby a bit. I mean, you're overweight. It's okay, but you can't be obese. So let us not confuse with overweight and obesity. Then what is obesity? If you carry 20 kg, I mean left leg and right 20, and again arm 15. In this itself you can carry even 70. But see that the weight around your circumference, I mean the waist circumference is the most important factor. So always, as a doctor, hereafter, instead of checking the patient's weight in kgs, it is our duty to measure the circumference of the waist circumference of the patient. So we should educate the patient, see that they maintain their waist circumference below 90 centimeters for men, and for women, it is only 80 centimeters. So we should all have an inch tape. It doesn't cost much, just 10 rupees. We should measure our waist. If it is less than 90 for a male, good, carry on. Whatever you lead your lifestyle, there is nothing wrong in it. But if it is above 90 centimeter, then immediately we should take care about our lifestyle. There's a small correction. What you need is just, for 45 minutes to 1 hour maximum. That's enough. You don't require any special treatment for losing weight. And people talk about BMI, body mass index. Please remember, it just tell you how big you are. It will never reveal how sick you are. So again and again, I'm telling it is the importance of waist circumference, whereas a medical doctor, waist hip ratio should not be more than 1 for women. And for men, it should not be more than 0.8. To educate a normal patient, simply I say, ask them to look at their toes. So we should try to look at our toes actually, not by sitting, by standing. If you are able to look down on your toes, then good, you don't worry. If something is obstructing your tummy, then you have to carry. You have to carry what? You have to carry on with your dietary pattern in a good manner. So the moment if the tummy is getting bigger and bigger as the days goes, then immediately you should take care about your diet pattern. So here what it comes, when I said only the tummy, weight in the lower limbs or upper limbs, nothing dangerous. What is most dangerous is excess fat around the abdomen. Please remember, I say excess fat. Excess fat is called obesity. It is not excess weight. Weight can be bone, muscle mass, or even water retention will be a lot of women. They carry excess water. That is why when we give some, water treatment and all, and they lose a lot of water, then immediately the weight drops down. Please remember, such weight is not a permanent weight loss. They'll bounce back immediately. So we should always aim at fat loss. That's more important. So what could be the shape? The shape, there are many shapes. See that, hourglass shape, there is one. Then there is one called, banana shape, then pear shape, and the last one is apple shape. The worst shape is nothing but apple shape. We should see that we are not fitting into apple shape. Who normally fits into apple shape? Mostly men. If you look into obese men, they'll have more weight around the tummy. That is more dangerous than women who carry excess weight in their hips and thighs. So comparative to pear shape, people who are in apple shape are at high risk. So the shape of an individual is very, very important than the BMI. And today, a lot of young students or even younger generations, they go to the gyms, gymnasium, and they make their body muscular. It's a healthy one, actually. There you check the weight and you can't say they were so obese. No, it is wrong. So always see that excess accumulation of fat is most dangerous. So what could be the cause? Unless we know the exact cause, then we will not be able to successfully and permanent giving the result. So obesity is something multifactorial. It is not just eating alone, excess eating alone. So it is a lifestyle disorder, it's a nutritional disorder, it's a psychological disorder, and remember, it's a chronic inflammatory disorder. When obesity itself is a chronic inflammatory disorder, that same obesity is the risk factor even for all the major non-communicable diseases. So we should educate an individual that carrying excess fat in the body can bring down on their lifespan. So what could be the cause? There are many causes, which I'd like to highlight. The first and foremost is even educated people, I normally put into that, it's lack of consciousness, lack of awareness. That, even a small knee pain, if they lose weight, their knee pain will become better. The lower back pain, upper back pain. So most of the things, by maintaining their weight alone, they can easily prevent deadly diseases. Then second is sedentary lifestyle. So the sedentary lifestyle, yes, today, very one of us, mostly we all lead a lethargic lifestyle. Here I would like to say, as the money comes, I say I am in a luxurious life. I am not leading a luxurious life. I am leading a lethargic lifestyle. So we should take care about this lethargic lifestyle. In that case, what I would like to say is, it is not using the gadgets. Today we need all this so-called technology, isn't it? Without technology, now this is not possible to carry on this online webinar and all. But at what cost? You should see that it doesn't affect your health. In that sense, enjoy the technology, simultaneously take care about your health. I mean physical and mental, both angle I would like to say. So we need to spend at least an hour a day for our health. Second, another important thing is, most of the women normally they say, doctor, I can't help it. It is after my delivery I put on weight. Remember, during the pregnancy itself, one is allowed to carry excess of around 8 to 10 kg, one can put on weight, not beyond 10 kg, even during the whole period of pregnancy. So if they are putting on above 10 kg, that itself is a risk factor. And even after delivery, either we should follow the strict Western line of treatment, I mean proper way of exercise and dietary thing, or should do the traditional our way of treatment. Even now, if you go to the, I mean Kerala and all, people tie around a big cloth after the delivery and they take a kashayam or some drink. What for? It's all excess, the fluid to remove from the body. And they give something spicy food and all. Neither we follow the tradition or the latest modern science. So that an individual, once they immediately after the delivery, a slight consciousness, they start doing a simple, their movement, physical activity, that will bring down their weight gradually. And forget about medication. They are, in fact, they are secondary to other reasons. Even diseases like, C1 syndrome, Cushing's syndrome, hypothyroidism. This is all doctors headache. As an individual, as a normal people, need not worry. And majority of the people, it is only due to our faulty lifestyle, nothing else. But again, another one reason I would like to say is, it is stress which will make us to put on weight. That too, around the tummy, because of the hormone cortisol. I mean, the stress hormone cortisol is responsible. That will imbalance the fat metabolism. They start putting on weight. And there is a strong relationship between mind and food, what we eat, isn't it? What we do, we look into the time, it's 11 o'clock, I need a cup of coffee. It's 4 o'clock. Without feeling hungry, we just like that, we keep eating. And the number of times we eat and the amount of calories what we today's lifestyle, it may be a teaspoon of some, snack. Underline this word, we simply will say it's just a snack only I'm eating, but the snack is the most culprit in the calories. And the high calorie food is today's the risk factor even for death of modern science. So we should be careful about, even whenever you are under stress, mostly food is used like anxiety drug. In fact, it could have been the other way. They should have been the physical activity for anti-anxiety drug, but we do it in the other way. Then last one is hereditary, parampara. We say, my mom, my daddy was fat, my aunt was fat. Let us not say compromise by saying there is a family history. Anyone who puts on after the age of 20, please remember it is our own faulty lifestyle. The number of fat cells by birth is determined, no doubt in it. But what we do as we age, as we think that I'm settling in my life, we don't bother about, in fact, as you age, this is the principle. But what we all do, as we age, we increase and the physical activity we reduce, saying that no aging. Actually, we don't require. Once you cross, beyond 20s and all, what we need excess nutrition. Please remember, malnutrition. I think malnutrition means even going to the mall and eating also is malnutrition. That is also one cause. So what is the definition of malnutrition? Eating excess is also a malnutrition. So most of the time, we all, having a high calorific diet. So we should be a bit conscious about the energy we eat, the particular food is having. That's again very, very important. So technology we have seen. So Basically, today even this television watching is one of the culprit what I could see. Most of the time, we have the food just by sitting in front of television. So eating food in front of television is nothing but overweight. That leads to obesity. So my first advice is stop eating in front of television. I mean, watching a small screen or big screen. That is the culprit, nothing else. You don't even know what you are eating, how much you are eating. Till the program gets over, till the match gets over, we keep eating. Honestly, So the first and foremost is physical, activity. Their lifestyle for the children. If they don't eat what we do, we just switch on the program and give them feed even the babies. So that's again very, very wrong habit. And the doctor has advised this gentleman to take a dog for a walk, but this is what mostly people are carrying on, isn't it? And where are these guys are going? They are going to fitness center. How are they going? These people are permanent customers. Please remember. So there is nothing called shortcut. But okay, so let us not go for any advertisement related to weight loss. If you believe that advertised one, it's highly dangerous. Please remember, it has got a serious health issues. So before taking into any advertisement products, any dietary supplement, without your family physician advice or without a proper competent doctor's advice, never take such supplements. That's again very, very important. And complications we know from diabetes, cholesterol, hypertension, arthritis, cancer, varicose veins, sleep apnea, hernia, whatnot, everything, even snoring, isn't it? So much people have an issue of even sleeping. So sleep is again very, very important factor. When we have a good sleep, weight loss is very, very simple. So basically, relaxation is the key factor. So the first tip for weight loss is be relaxed. Actually, don't be stressed on being overweight. So if you have a good sleep, your weight comes down because hormonal balance easily it comes to normal state. So that's again very, very important thing. And universally accepted facts, weight loss is either you have to eat less for what you are exerting or exert more for what you are eating. This is a fundamental. You should never forget. And don't compare with others. So there are a few things. One is a basic idea about the nutrition. Another is the measures to increase physical activity. Then another is behavioral measures. Please remember, a lot of people, they ask me, can you give me a diet chart? Yes, I can, but it doesn't fit for everyone. No single sites that fits all. So basically, it is where you eat, when you eat, what you eat, why you eat, the way you eat. It's all depend on the way, it's all with diet. You are what you eat. You are what you think. So both basic. So what you put inside, that also counts. What you put here, that also counts. So basically, it is the mind which is the supreme over the body. That is what yoga deals with. A lot of people think yoga is for physics, slimming. Don't worry about it. You just focus on the starting steps of yoga. That will give you the very good result. One need not do thousands of asanas. Just if you know the right way of breathing and right way of sitting, that's all. Most of the health problem can be easily solved. So that is the biggest thing. And the yogic diet stresses only this. What is a healthy diet? Healthy diet should be fresh. It should be colorful. The smell should be good. Taste should be good. It has got carb, it has got protein, it has got whatnot, everything it has got. Even fruits are very, very good, no doubt in it. But you should take the quantity. Quantity should be moderation in quantity. Please remember why I recommend fruits. A lot of people say fruits are good, eat fruits. Fruits are good. Even if they are good, you can't eat excess, isn't it? You students, you know very well. We need protein, that's basic. We need fat to lose weight. Eat more, weigh less. How to eat more? Eat more of food which has got whole grains, unpolished. I mean, underline this word. I'm not saying millets, don't confuse. I said Even rice is very, very good. I prescribe rice, varieties of rice. What rice you like, you can enjoy. But it is the type of rice what you eat. So don't blame rice is bad, wheat is bad, this is bad. In which form you consume that also counts. And how you cook that also counts. The way of cooking has a role in blood sugar, rise and low, basically insulin. So there is a link between that. So we should have more of always give focus on something whole grain or unpolished. That's again very, very important. You can go as a herbal tea or whatnot, anything. It's not a fashion. If somebody comes, I write them white tea, green tea, black tea. It's all fashionable. Please remember, you can drink what you like, but see that the sugar is the culprit. Sugar is the culprit. Sugar is something supposed to be a slow poison. And having these cornflakes, oats, forages will push up your blood sugar like anything. So don't go for such advertisements like, all this. Solid. I mean, chutneys, go for colorful chutneys, then always going for white chutneys. And mid-morning, if you used to drink some juice, that too only they should eat raw. Otherwise, there is nothing, no relation between these things. If they are cooked properly, absolutely nothing to be worried. And this fenugreek seeds, maple seeds, has got a wonderful role in weight management, losing weight, bringing down sugar, bringing down cholesterol. This is proven by Indian Council of Medical Research. You can get the research paper if you write to them. This maple seeds has been proven 20 years back, not now. And evening times, yes, that's the culprit. Go ahead with the liters of soup, different kinds of soup. Go ahead with white pumpkin, ashgot, or even yellow pumpkin, or mixed vegetable, or tomato, or clear soup, or dal soup. Fill your stomach, with low calories and highly nutritious. That is the thing. Always have a light dinner and have a gap between dinner and sleep. Then only one can have a break fast. If you don't fast, then where is the question of breaking the fast? So don't mistake. So these things also again known. Why many people on this drumstick leaf soup or banana stem or all this, basically it acts like a diuretic. So it helps to lose weight during that regimen. So these are the things one should be very, very careful. All empty calories, anything related with, vanaspati, sugar, maida, soft drink, one should be very, very careful. Whatever the salt. And ordinary sea salt is very, very good. One need not go for expensive. Please remember, whether you take sugar or country sugar or brown sugar or this sugar, all are bad. All are bad. Don't confuse. Don't confuse the patients saying that jaggery is good, palm sugar is good. As far as weight loss or diabetes is concerned, or even a cholesterol is concerned, sugar is sugar. Please remember, all this high sugar, fructose in diet is basically leptin resistance. It will desensitize your taste buds. So that is why people can't leave their, eating sugary things. So slowly, we should come out of sugary things. And fasting is a wonderful remedy. In yoga, naturopathy system of medicine, we use fasting as a therapeutic measure. According to the individual condition, the doctor prescribes the fasting. Fasting is the supreme treatment for majority of the disease, including a cancer. So it does wonders. In fact, fasting, during the fasting, now the science has proven even the brain size is getting increased. And there are many things, healthy things happens only during the fasting. So how one has to do the fasting? An individual has to consult a qualified yoga natural professional and take a drinking water and applying a cold compress. If they don't do, then they complain about acidity and such things. But easily it can be tackled by fasting. And everybody should not do fasting, like highly diabetic, such people should be very, very careful. And no doubt, yoga is the best. Any kind of exercise is good, no doubt in it. But the type of exercise what you choose should have an effect not only on your lungs and heart and spine. It should have an effect on your mind. Please remember. So yoga is the only one which has a direct role on mind as well as body. So basically, it means yoga is the best remedy for obesity. And it is very, very simple. You need not, buy expensive gadgets. You need not buy expensive shoes or dress wherever you are. Even you are traveling. You travel anywhere in the world. In a small room, one can do yoga, isn't it? So basically, again, I would like to highlight, if we know the right way of breathing, that itself will increase the yoga. So basic metabolism we can push up by doing right way of breathing. And breathing alone, it can manage the hormonal imbalance. When the hormones are normalized, then weight loss is very, 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 very simple. One can enjoy and still they can maintain weight. So my main thing is, it's like, remember, any kind of exercise, one should do at least 4 to 5 days a week to have a positive effect on the body. And no doubt, this is again one of the best if they don't have any back pain or neck pain. Surya Namaskar alone will take care about the whole body if they do it. And they do it along with chanting. And there are some therapeutic treatment in ours. So one thing is basically smart exercise. What is smart exercise? It's smart eating. Something is nothing but right way of sitting, right way of breathing. That is the only thing called smart exercise. And reduce anything starchy. That's again very, very important. And go for more of veggies. I mean green salads, soups. There are plenty of salads and sprouts and varieties are available. And be selective on fruits, except banana, sapota, sitapal, mango, grapes. You can enjoy. Papaya, eat more. Still you can be slim. And that is the only thing. And last but not the least, relax. Relax.
Hey, what's
Sleep
the name?
well. That is the easiest way to become slim. If you are sleeping well, you are going to become slim. If you keep on watching mobile throughout in the night, you can never become slim. And not only being slim, even the skin beauty goes. Please remember, patients should understand thoroughly. When they undertake a reduction in diet and exercise, in all probability, some degree of dietary restriction, okay, with regular, underline this word, regular exercise or yoga will be necessary permanently after ideal weight is achieved. So that's the only thing. This guy came to me with just like that, he lost 50 kg in a year. Still he maintains. So when somebody can maintain 50 kg, somebody can lose weight and sustaining throughout the year. Why not everyone? Everyone can lose weight easily once if you're made up your mind. What we have to do is slight change in our dietary habits. What we are doing wrong thing, correct it and switch over to some kind of simple yoga. I said there is nothing called simple yoga or difficult yoga. Yoga itself is most simplest one. Okay, so it starts with individual discipline and social discipline. So anything called disciplined lifestyle is called yoga. So anything disciplined, then success comes on its own. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a wonderful presentation on that. Do not wait, lose weight. So the Sarah celebrated was wonderful on the diet concept, what to take, what to not to take. So I hope you all understand the modern lifestyle that harms our life also. So now I invited Dr. Vishnu sir to chair the next session. The next session by Yogacharya Bharat sir.
Requesting to enable screen share. If the host could enable screen share, please.
Morning, sir. Yoga. I'm very happy to introduce Francis Berry. He is a well-known yoga therapist. He is a priest in the lineage of Sadhguru Santa Keshav of Bangalore. He received the title Yogacharya with the blessings of the teacher Yogacharya Dr. Anand Bhavanani and a dedicated student of Gitananda Yoga tradition. Dr. Anandabal, student, he was his full-time yoga therapist. He is an active proponent of Gitananda Yoga tradition and is yoga teacher, Yogacharya Dr. Anandabal Bhavanani. He formed Mantra Vijaya.com for teaching of yoga. I don't know how many of you have seen his website. And he's well known in USA, Canada, and internationally, more than 30 countries. He promotes the development of experiential yogic knowledge based on Vedic scriptures and classic yoga texts. He serves on the board of directors of Sanatana Dharma Satsang, a non-profit USA organization. Sir, all of us waiting to listen to you, and also those faculty members interested in yoga are also here. I request you to deliver your talk, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So you can start your talk, sir. You can share your slides if you want.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much to Arupade Vedu Medical College, and thank you to my teachers. It's an honor to share with everyone today. I also offer thanks to my teachers. Asmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I've been blessed with wonderful teachers, and I share knowledge that I've learned from them. So the outline of my presentation today, we don't need to spend time defining anger. I think people know what that is. A key point of the presentation today is that what I am proposing, what I am sharing, the teachings I am sharing, is not about suppression of anger. We know that suppression of anger can lead to many problems. So this is not about suppression of anger. It's about transformation of the individual, transformation of the aspiring yogi to eliminate the triggers of anger, to be able to avoid the triggers of anger. This presentation will highlight the role of samatvam as sustainable equanimity, which will transform our inner experience, improve our abilities to make better choices before we act as opposed to reacting in an angry situation, and will enable us to be strong and decisive and empowered. This is not about becoming passive. It's becoming a stronger person, a stronger human being. I will highlight some definitions of what is samatvam, and then give a quick overview of several methodologies within the yoga tradition, primarily from the Yoga Sutras, that are practical methods that we can use to achieve this samatvam, this sustainable equanimity. So before we start, some broader perspective. How do we get from anger, krodha, to aham brahmasmi? One of the great Mahavakyas, aham brahmasmi, I am that great Brahman. So this is a broader perspective before we dive into some details. So the concept is stopping anger before it starts. So highlighting some teachings, we should be able to try to curb the seeds of anger at the very moment when it has arisen. This concept was taught by Swami Gitananda, who taught that anger can be overcome by becoming completely aware of it. Conscious awareness of at the exact point where it starts to rise. Swami Shivananda said much the same thing. Do not allow anger to assume a form of a big wave on the surface of the conscious mind, but nip it in the bud when it is a form of irritability. Develop gradually virtues such as patience, love, forgiveness, and the anger will die by itself. Highlighting a central foundational concept here on Samadhi, with a wonderful outline created by my teacher, Yogacharya, Dr. Ananda. Samadhi as the central theme of yoga. Samadhi means homeostasis, equanimity, harmony, balance, inner stability, even as the cyclones may rage on externally. Now, Krishna teaches us in the Bhagavad Gita that the qualities of a mentally healthy person, stita prajna, he enumerates those qualities. Stita means stability, mental stability. Prajna means higher wisdom. So stita prajna means higher wisdom. This is the higher wisdom that is samadhi, that is beyond passion, fear, or anger, devoid of possessiveness or egoism, firm in understanding and unbewildered. In other words, an interesting term, unbewildered. It means we are prepared to perceive and respond appropriately to all surprises in life. Engaged in doing good for all creatures, friendly and compassionate to all, pure-hearted and skillful without expectations. So these are qualities of a mentally healthy person. What a wonderful way to define health, as opposed to looking at mental health as an absence of depression, or an absence of schizophrenia, or an absence of some other disorder. This is a higher vision for what the human potential is, in terms of the higher qualities of a higher perspective of life. And to borrow a quote from Dr. Ananda, he phrased this is a description, this is a definition of a mentally healthy and spiritually healthy person, a definition to aspire to. Samadhi is yoga. Borrowing from the Bhagavad Gita, we have in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 48, Yogastha Kudu Kamani is the more well-known phrase from this verse, Yogastha Kudu Kamani, established in yoga, perform action. Well, I'd like to highlight just briefly the last three terms of this verse. Samadvam yoga uchyate. Samadvam, equanimity, uchyate is called. So as summarized by Swami Shivananda, Samadvam is the yoga that Lord Krishna talks about at length in the Bhagavad Gita. He defines yoga as Samadvam yoga uchyate. Samadvam is yoga. Equanimity is yoga. Swami Gitananda wrote, Stita prajna, steadiness of mind. Samabhava is steadiness of mind or equanimity. Sincere and steady abhyasa or discipline is necessary to achieve this. The use of the yamas and the niyamas of Raja Yoga is usually the method employed. So let's look a little bit about the key points in this quote from the great master, Swami Gitananda. Can we, and this is in response to the question, how can we possibly attain this lofty vision of this steadiness of mind? Well, methodology is present throughout the yoga tradition, throughout the Yoga Sutras, for example, throughout the classic yoga texts. In The Yoga Sutras, the first pada, verse 2. Yoga is the cessation of the whirlpools of the subconscious mind. That's a fairly well-known, often used as a definition of what yoga is. So these whirlpools of the subconscious mind, the constant chatter, the turmoil, the ups and downs, the inner stresses that distract as more so oftentimes than they help us in our lives. So the teaching is that yoga is about the cessation of those whirlpools of the subconscious mind. And in verse 12 of that first pada of the Yoga Sutras, their cessation is brought about by effort coupled with objectivity. Effort and objectivity. Self-effort, abhasya, which is wonderfully summarized by the wonderful mother of Dr. Ananda, Amaji, as regularity, repetition, and rhythm. Vairagya, objectivity of dispassionate detachment must be cultivated. This is detachment from the outcomes of our actions. We perform our actions to the best of our in the best possible ways, to the best of our ability. And then we let it go and we trust in the divine to take care of the outcomes. Now, some people will look at this teaching about the cessation of the whirlpools of the subconscious mind, this resolving of the chitta vrittis of the mind, and they'll want to examine the cause of those whirlpools. They'll want to examine the chitta vrittis. This is not the methodology that's recommended. If we focus on those causal factors of those whirlpools of the mind, we're feeding energy into those very problematic aspects that we're trying to prevent. Where the mind goes, the energy flows. We don't want to feed into that because it'll just make matters worse in terms of this turmoil and this quagmire of the whirlpools of the mind. What we want to do is focus on the solution, and the solution highlighted as self-effort and objectivity of dispassionate detachment. Now there's a teaching again from Shivananda. Anger is one of the negative vrittis in the whirlpool or mind lake. Again, and there are teachings about negative vrittis and positive vrittis. We don't want to focus on that. We don't want to dwell on that because that can be a trap that pulls us down. Another part of what we just looked at from Swami Gitananda in that same quote, and I'm highlighting the part where he said, the use of the yamas and the niyamas of Raja Yoga are the usual method employed. This is not to spend a lot of time on the yamas and the niyamas right now because we have limited time today, but this is to emphasize the point that the yamas and the niyamas are foundational. They're a foundational part of all yoga sadhana when taught by authentic yogic traditions. Moving ahead to another concept that we just want to highlight briefly, there is the teachings, and I see a spelling error there, the pancha kosha, the 5 bodies, the 5 coverings. This is a common model from the Upanishads that highlights the 5 levels of the human existence. There's a teaching here from Swami Gitananda that psychic disassociation called nara is a condition when there's a lack of alignment of the physical body, the pranic body, the mental body. They're out of line with the Anandamaya kosha. And this is a cause of many disorders, physical, mental, and emotional. The highlight point here is twofold. One is that, to read the quote from Swami Gitananda, when the Anandamaya kosha is perfectly centered by the lower bodies, the other 4 of those 5 koshas, then samatvam, or equilibrium, is said to exist. For the physical body, it represents homeostasis, or organic equilibrium. It represents samabhava, the mental equipoise, for the mind, with all the senses balanced and under control of the buddhi, the higher spiritual intellect. Now, the key point here is that the Anandamaya kosha is never out of alignment. So let's look at that for just a moment. The Anandamaya kosha, that innermost part of our individual existence, is never out of alignment. This is good news, because this is what we are trying to reconnect with the higher yoga practices, the deeper meditative experiences. When we still the chitra vitris, when we stop the whirlpools of the mind, and we reconnect with that inner Atman, that core of our being. As we approach that, it's a place of tremendous silence, tremendous stillness, tremendous peace. It's a foundational, it's the foundational essence of our individuality in our finite existence. So the fact that the Anandamaya kosha is never out of alignment, this can be taken as an inspiration and as encouraging, because this lofty goal of this equanimity is reconnecting with a part of us that already exists. Moving along, pranayama disciplines enables growth of samatvam. This is an important set of teachings on the power and capability of the pranayama practices. Swami Gitananda highlights that the teaching from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which says disturbed breath leads to disturbed mind. Hence, cultivate a steady and quiet breath in order to control the mind and prolong life. Dr. Ananda highlights that the practice of pranayama leads to a pure mind. According to Maharishi Patanjali, it dissolves the covering that hides the inner effulgence. Such a mind is fit for concentration and higher yogic practices, such as dharana and dhyana, which require a calm and focused mind. Okay, so we've introduced here in the quote from Dr. Ananda, we've introduced this covering that hides the inner effulgence. Yoga Sutras, Pada 2, verse 52. Thereby the shroud that hides the inner effulgence is destroyed. This term thereby is a key term here. Thereby is a reference to the prior 3 sutras, which are all teaching about the importance of pranayama and regularity of pranayama practice. So to summarize the point that's being made about removing this covering that hides tremendous inner peace and illumination, in that highest state of pranayama, the dark ignorance which shrouded the inner effulgence, which shrouded that inner peace, is destroyed. The vision of that divine inner light, the divine luminosity, the prakasha, is obtained. That effulgence has always been there, but has been obscured by arrogant ignorance. Okay, that point about that effulgence has always been there. That's what I just highlighted in terms of that Anandamaya kosha is always been in alignment, is never out of alignment. Opening to the higher universal nature, one sees what was earlier hidden. The true sattvika nature of luminosity is discovered within. So another key component of this teaching is that this is a teaching, this is the development of a capacity within our inner attunement, within our yogic growth, to reconnect with that foundational part of our existence and to benefit from that. And even just small glimpses of that inner luminosity, that tremendous inner peace. Even as we progress and have a small taste of it, it's profoundly transformative, and it can help us to achieve that samadvam. We begin to become accustomed to that samadvam and carry it into our daily lives, into our busy activities. Continuing with that same sutra, one more point about this teaching is that, and it's essentially the same teachings, but it's highlighted from some statements from Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh. What is this covering? What is this shroud that's been destroyed? This shroud that's hiding the inner effulgence? It's the residual effects of past karma. It's the tamasic and rajasic residue of our past actions. And this veil is removed by the practice of pranayama. And the great Shivananda of Rishikesh taught, there is no purificatory action greater than pranayama. Another related quote before we leave this slide from the Shiva Samhita. The prudent adept, the aspiring yogi, surely destroys all of his karma, whether acquired in this life or in the past, through the regulation of breath. Okay, so how many people have done their pranayama practice today? How many people that wanted to do their pranayama practice today have done it and stayed with it? Well, this is the teaching, and this is the importance. And for me, this is profoundly inspiring reminder of the supremely practical benefits of these daily yoga practices, the sustained daily practice. One more point on pranayama. There's a wonderful 8-page article, Pranayama and its Therapeutic and Spiritual Potential, written by my teacher, Yogacharya Dr. Ananda, where he highlights many health and healing benefits of pranayama practices, including emotional health and samadvam and the stita prajna. And this is presented with lots of examples in terms of mental health conditions, in terms of physical health, in terms of cardiovascular conditions, in terms of improving the entire human being on all levels. Shifting over, a brief mention of the role of the teachings in Yoga Sutras highlighting asanas in respect to samadvam, the yoga postures, the asanas. A quick quote from Dr. Ananda: through the practice of asana, one attains a balanced equanimity, described in the Bhagavad Gita as samatvam, that enables one to overcome the dualities, the dvadva anibighata, that normally torment mankind into imbalances of mind, emotions, and body. So here's one more component of the yoga tradition, one more of the 8 limbs of yoga that has a foundational and essential role, as all the limbs do, in terms of attaining this samadvam, this stita prajna, this stabilized higher wisdom. Experiences of progress along the way. By this point, it's obvious that it takes some time to achieve these powerful benefits. That's why we stay with our practice day after day, week after week, year after year, and we grow in that practice. But fortunately, within a short number of weeks of for example, of daily pranayama practice, as taught by a competent yoga teacher from an authentic yoga tradition, when we properly do these practices, for example, daily pranayama practice can be very nurturing of our and allow us to settle down those chitta vrittis, to tone down that those whirlpools of the mind and reconnect with that place of deep inner peace and expansion. So what can we expect? Improved strengths of mental and emotional health, reduced and eventually eliminated mood swings. We don't get overshadowed by events or disappointments. This is an interesting phrase, overshadowed. We want to be the best version of ourselves that we possibly can be, to be optimum in our completion of our tasks, whether it's in our workplace, for our family, for our own personal future, for our own personal growth. We don't want to be overshadowed. We want to establish that connection with that stable equanimity, that sustained equanimity, that samadhi. Impulsive or reactive behaviors are replaced by actions rooted in clarity and wisdom. The key point here, we want to move away from reaction, and we want to emphasize acting based on clarity and wisdom. We want to, over those first weeks and months of these practices, we can see that some of the triggers of anger start to dissipate. As Shivananda taught, we nip it in the bud. As Swami Gitananda taught, we become aware of the initial activity of those triggers of the anger, and so therefore we have a chance to be conscious of it, and we have a chance to choose. Implicit in all that I've said so far is the belief that I have that anger is not a necessary component of human existence. It is certainly not a necessary component. It is not a component at all of the elevated vision that we get from Maharishi Patanjali, or from the Bhagavad Gita, or from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, or from the sages and masters and advanced yogis of the Sanatana Dharma tradition. There's no room for anger in that higher vision. These teachings present methodology to get beyond that. The velocity of the mind slows down, but we've experienced strengthened cognitive capacity, greater ability to focus, stronger memory skills, clarity of thought processes, improved intuitive knowledge. Within our inner experiences, sustained periods of peace, growing awareness of peace and consciousness that transcend the physical limits, increased strengths of confidence and vitality, easier meditative experiences, strengthened physical health and vitality. Some concluding thoughts. The great sages and yoga masters have invited us to our higher potentials, including a life without anger. They have provided knowledge, methods, and roadmaps. The currency to pay for this journey, the price of admission to get to this goal, is our self-effort and our sankalpa. Our sankalpa, that deep-seated intention, that vision for ourselves, that vision that we hold deeply for the higher vision of our tomorrows. We move away from krodha, anger, and we get closer to realizing and living that great Mahavakya, Aham Brahmasmi. And we do that with our sustained daily practice. We stay with the teachings. We do the teachings according to that teacher that we respect from an authentic spiritual tradition, from an authentic yoga tradition. And we do the practices to the best of our ability every day. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to share these teachings. Blessings to all of us from the great masters.
Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening all of us. And you rightly said we should get out of the anger. Anger really does not help anybody, it causes more harm. But suppressing of anger also may be dangerous, as you rightly said. We should find ways to come out of the anger. If I say that nobody, I do not get any time, then I am bluffing. So the thing is, how we take others' response or others' behavior makes us angry or not. Suppose you take it in a different way, probably sometimes you may not be angry at the other person. Angry, your BP goes up, your sugar changes, and your mental status gets altered. You do not know what's happening. So you rightly said, and I think with the yogic pranayama and other exercise, you will get out of this status of anger. And thank you very much, sir, for nicely telling our students and faculty members. Very thankful to you. Any questions anybody wants to ask? Of course, it is not as simple as our Guru says, because it requires a long, drawn mental status or the way you react, respond to situation. So when we talk, it is simple, but I think with the yoga exercise, we may be able to come out of that. Am I right, sir?
Yes. Yes, but what is important is the vision is laid out by the masters, and we can get there. We can get there. We can make progress day by day, and we can gain benefits near term. That's the vision.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will break for tea for 5 minutes. Tea is served outside. You can go and have. Come back immediately. On
Please be seated. Let me start. Let me resume our session, continue the session. I hope Sangeeta madam is there online. Very good morning. And first, that person chairing the session for Yoga Charity, Dr. Sangeeta Laura Vyagi madam.
So, good morning to the respected speakers and my dear students. Dr. Silence, please. Dr. Yoga Acharya Sangeeta Laura Vyagi. She is from Italy, but staying in yoga in India. And now I think she's staying in India, sole subject of the study. And it is a research part of the Gitananda Nada Yoga and Wellness Coaching Center. Dr. Sangeeta holds a master's and a PhD in the Department of Performance Studies in the New York University. Her research on power of voice to heal. She is a mentor and a teacher in the Parampara of Yoga Maharshi Dr. Swami Geetananda Giri Guru Maharaj. Her residential yoga teacher training in the Center for Yoga Education and Research at Ananda Ashram, Tamil Nadu, consisted of over 3,500 hours of theory and practice in asanas, pranayama, mudras, mantras, yantras, Sanskrit, and various musical sounds and Bharatanatyam, etc. She co-authored a book on Saraswati Pearls, Dialogues in Yoga of the Sound with Dr. Ananda Yogi Bhavanani, and participating in his audio recording. So she has got a lot of experience over yoga. Dr. Sangeeta served as a faculty at Vassar College and New York University, New York, and the theater school at DePaul University in Chicago, where she was awarded the Excellence Teaching Award in 2020. The documentary, The Girl Inside, available on YouTube, her academic research in the use of contemplative practices for social change inside Cook County Jail. So she's worked not only in schools and colleges, but also in the jail to improve their mental outlook. And her TED Talk also is available, and probably you can listen. She's a very learned person. And Madam, I request you to deliver your talk. And thank you very much. Is she online? Madam, are you online?
I'm here, yes. Namaste, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, madam. So you can
No
start.
worries.
Share your slides.
Yes, please allow me to share. Good morning, everyone. Great honor to be sharing this talk here. This actually, it's a bit of a practice as well as an exposition of thoughts. And much thanks to all of the team at your medical college and of you for being here. It is definitely for me, who was born and raised in Italy. It's a great honor. It's a real excitement, actually, to be able to deliver a talk about yoga practices and philosophy to a group of colleagues and students in India, in Pondicherry, where I lived for a few years. What a great honor it is that someone from Italy may come to you who are steeped in the culture of Sanatana Dharma to share some ideas, to share something that has been useful to me. So I would like to share teachings that are useful. And I can imagine the pressure that, being a student in medical college is. It's not just the pressure from, studying and the exams and all of that, but also pressure from family, from society, from peer pressure. So I want to make sure that these teachings become available to you and you can incorporate them almost immediately, really. So the teachings are from the Parampara of Yoga Maharishi, Dr. Swami Gitananda Giri Guru Maharaj, and his Dharma Patni, Pudavai Shakti Yogacharini Ammaji Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani, and my Guruji and Acharya, Dr. Nanda Balayogi Bhavanani, whom we would like to thank for inviting me here. So I'm going to intone a part of the Guru Stotram so that we may learn together and that we may attune, as Yogacharya Dr. Bharataji just mentioned, attune to these teachings. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Let's commence. Okay, so what is health? What is health? You're in medical college, so you probably have a million descriptions of health. Health is obviously really culturally specific, but it is also very universal in a way. And so it's about well-being. We talk about well-being. Well-being means feeling well, being well. So the dimension of well-being is complex, because one is well with themselves, with another person, with family, with teachers. One has to feel well on so many levels. And especially in your age group, right? I would imagine you are between 17 and 30 years old or something like that. It's so complex because you're becoming adults, you're already adults, but you're not really adults. And there's so much instability in the world and in being able to plan something. So being well already, it's quite a challenge. Then we have well-doing, because yes, we can be well, but also we then have to attune our actions with so much pressure, so much demand. And how do you know when you're doing well, when you're doing something well? Of course, the teachings of Dharma are there in the scriptures, in your family traditions, in all, society. How do we behave well? How do we perform well? But when we are able to bring together feeling well, being well, and doing well, that's when health is at its optimum. But of course, I added this the monkey brain scratching the head, right? It's like, oh, okay, I know this theoretically, but why is it so difficult? Why is it so difficult to hold this, Sukha Stanam and this Sthiti Prajna, as we learned from the previous sharing? Really, it's a scratching of the head. Because I can study, you too, right? You can study all of your manuals, you can study all of how is health anatomically, what is health physiologically, all of this. But then by the end of the day, you feel tired or you feel dejected or you feel, with so much anxiety. Why? Why is this so difficult? We were mentioning in the first lecture today, there was this contemplation of lack of awareness or being mindless. And we're talking about a mind here that is intelligent. Intelligence means to be able to detect the signs from reality and to be able to disassociate individual awareness of what's happening with a more objective awareness, so that I can detach this sense of me, mine, me, with more objective awareness. So the awareness we're talking about is awareness of the individual self. I'm aware of my body, I'm aware of how I'm feeling, of what I'm thinking, of my emotions, and also I'm aware of all of the other people around me, the environment around me. So there are some stressors in life. And I want to bring these teachings from Maharishi Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra, because this invitation for us to come and share is to bring awareness of how the culture of Sanatana Dharma in India has provided for millennia some psychological, medical, spiritual teachings that are available to you, are available to us in such a generous fashion. So the stressors, what we call stressors in medical jargon today, medical language today, have been there from the dawn of human, development, right? And Maharishi Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra gives a great exposition of them. But these five, the Pancha Klesha, to begin, are enough for us to contemplate what are the stressors in life. These five are so strong. The first one, avidya, ignorance. Now, this one is it's not just the ignorance of not knowing, like I'm ignorant of, but let's say I'm ignorant of what you experience in college in Pondicherry. I don't know. I haven't been a student in a medical college in Pondicherry, so I'm ignorant of your state of being. But also, it's even more than that. It's ignorance of the fact that we are not living truly in a world that is separate from us, right? So we can think of the great teachings of Einstein, of astrophysicists, or scientists, right? Like you, who, when you look at a tissue and you go into the cell, then inside the cell, you see this whole universe. And inside the cell's universe, you find the atom. And that's where all of the sciences and all of spirituality actually dialogue together. Because when we get to the infinitesimal small, there's so much there. There's so much. There's the same energies that you can find in the great expansion of the galaxy. Attraction, repulsion, magnetism, electricity. And so we are baffled. We're like, oh, okay, so when I get to the smallest of units or when I get to the greatest of units, the same laws apply. So we know this from study, but then this ignorance happens as soon as I step out of my studies and I talk to my mom or talk to my dad or my children or whomever, and I begin to feel dvaitam. I begin to feel a separation from others. So I begin to judge. I begin to say, I'm better than you, I'm worse than you, I'm more intelligent than you, my grades are better than yours, your grades are better than mine. And then that becomes a stressor, like the peer pressure or the pressure with friends and all. Okay, so that's the first one. That's a huge one. Avidya, it's a huge stressor. Then we have egoism, asmita. Egoism is based on avidya. If I feel separate from another, then I may feel better than them, worse than them, or feel nothing at all, which is the root cause of a lot of depression and anxiety. I feel nothing. I don't feel good. I don't feel bad. I don't care. This I don't care is so current and so everywhere. So the asmita is also another stressor, like my ego, me, I want this, I don't want that, all of that. Now, building on that, when the ego is formed, then raga and dvesha are there. Attraction. I'm attracted to my study. I'm attracted to a title. I want to become a doctor because this. I want to become a teacher. This. And all. Okay. And then the attachment to that. What happens if I fail? Terrible stressor. Failure is a terrible stressor, but it's all just perceived. It's not real, right? The avidya, but we perceive it as real. The opposite of that is dvesha, repulsion. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't like that. I don't like you. I don't like that professor. I don't like that friend. I don't want this. I don't want that. Okay. So much stress there to protect from aversion. And then last, but definitely not least, abhinivesha, klesha. This is the attachment to life. And this we all have. All of them we all have. But the abhinivesha is so ancient because it's our reptilian mammalian brain. It's steeped into the amygdala right there in the center of the brain. It's, I'm going to survive at all costs. So even the most learned of scholars, as Maharishi Patanjali teaches us, even the most learned of scholars, the most learned of yogis will fight with that klesha ultimately. So all of these stressors, you may want to think about it for your life, because these teachings are important because they become accessible to you, not just because they are some philosophy that you need to learn. When you look at these for a moment, ignorance, egoism, attraction, disgust, fear, you may find them in some aspects of your life. Okay, so what shall we do about these? Okay, what shall we do about these? These, when you think about it well, are also the salt of life. Okay, what's called the salt of life. In Italian, we say sale della vita. Okay, and in Italy, we are very passionate about life. We're very attached about food. Like we have all of the kleshas in full, manifestation. Very much like Southern India, actually. I found that when I lived there, I found so many resonance. The way we enjoy our foods and our drinks and our festivals and our rituals and clothing and all. Okay. So what does yoga teaches us? Yoga does not teach us to repress these or annihilate these or forget about these at all. On the contrary, it teaches us to fully explore them. Fully explore them. So ignorance. Fully explore your ignorance. Do you have any bias for any friends of yours or any family members? Maybe due to the way they look, maybe due to the way, maybe due to the way they speak. Maybe they speak some sort of a dialogue or an accent that make you feel uncomfortable for some reason. Maybe it's about the color of their skin. Maybe it's about how they look physically. Maybe it's about their level of health and all. Gender, religion. There's so much bias there. So instead of feeling scared of your bias, just look at it. We all have bias. It's not just you. We all have bias. So look at it. Why do you have it? How important it is for you to preserve your identity, that you have that bias. For example, racism, sexism. There's so much construction about our identity. If I make certain jokes so that my friends, and all, you know what I'm talking about. So just observe it. Then egoism. Healthy ego needs to be there. You need to develop healthy ego to be able to overcome ego. You can't just be like, oh, my ego is bad, I'm not going to develop it. That's also ego. Talking. So we want to develop ego in a healthy way. That's where the teachings of yoga develop a healthy ego. The Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutra, the Katha Upanishad, all of the Upanishad, all of your amazing wisdom that you are generously sharing with the world, full of healthy ego development. The Ramayana, all of them. So just study that, okay? And then attraction, repulsion. We all have this. So what are you attracted by? What are you repelled by? So just notice. It's like, okay, can I be less this, more that? Just have fun. Just have fun with this human incarnation. And then lastly, the abhinivesha is a difficult one. That's a very hard one. And having worked in jails and hospitals and prisons, I can tell that we never know what can happen in our lives. We never know. And therefore, it's very difficult to judge another. Because if I were in a life or death situation and I had to protect myself and people I love, how would I behave? We don't know. We simply don't know until we get into that particular situation. So that's where being flexible with yourself also helps with the stressors. Being relaxed about how stressed we are, paradoxically, is very, very good. But so what can we do then? I wanted to bring this model from my Guruji and the parampara of Swami Gitananda, because Swami Gitananda Giri has developed this system of relaxation. So I wanted to read his words directly. I have abbreviated them quite a bit. And then give you 4 exercises in an abbreviated fashion because of time. There's also a link in this presentation, and I can put it in the chat after, of a longer video of about 40 minutes. And in that you will find resources and all of that if you want to do a longer practice. But for now, these are 4 amazing, very accessible tools that are cost effective because you have no need to buy anything to do them. So it's brilliant. Okay, so the first one is letting down. Let down one's prejudice and preconceived ideas and notions about people, things, and ideas. Now, of course, before you let them down, you need to be aware. You need to be aware. This is where the bias or the fears and all things come up. So contemplate them, and then you can let them down, all right? Okay. Also, the false notions of materialistic idolatry. Now, I don't know what your experience is with social media, but having taught in colleges in the US, and also having a young niece and all, I realized that there's so much pressure from social media, from TikTok, from Instagram, from all these, and become aware of what happens when you are on social media and breathe. Just breathe and be aware, and then notice the type of stress that comes up in you. Okay, so this is where these teachings are helpful. They're not just helpful on a yoga mat when you're lucky and blessed to have 5 minutes in your studies to do that. No, we're talking about, okay, I have my phone here and I feel the stress. What do I need to do? I begin with letting down. Just let down the phone, first of all, but also let down of all these ideas of what Swamiji calls God of tension. The God of tension, you know, like we venerate it. We love to feel this adrenaline on social media. So be very mindful and just take small breaks, that's all. And then cultivate the desire for right action. Now, this one, we could have a talk about just this one. This is Dharma, yeah? Cultivate the desire for right action. You need to cultivate the desire for right action. It's easier to do wrong action because it's just easier. It's easy. We are all lazy, really, truly, we're all lazy as humans. So you need to cultivate the desire, okay? And then, so you let down, you become aware of all this and you let it down. Then you need to give it up. After you let it down, you just can't leave it there. You have to then curb it and release it, okay? So you want to give up the stress and strains. You need to give up the stress. The stress won't go away unless you want to give it up. Okay, this is a great teaching because one thinks, oh, I'm just going to relax and the stress is going to go away. Not true, because we're so used to hold the stress that it won't go away until we tell it to go away. It's fascinating. Then giving in, any void is going to be filled by something else in this reality we live on. In this plane of existence, once you create a void, something else is going to come in. Like our breath, for example, or water on a glass, or, you know, you take the water out, the air is going to come in and all. So what do you put into that void that you just created? Higher consciousness, okay? So this is an intense practice. And then finally, you need to give over the result of your practice. You need to give over the attachment to the result. This is where the spirituality of the teachings of yoga is so important. So important. And yoga is non-denominational. Of course, it's steeped in Hindu culture, but it's non-denominational, especially nowadays, where so many of us can enjoy the benefits of the Sanatana Dharma teachings thanks to our religious awareness or atheist choices. Okay, so it's not either or. All right. So I'm aware of time. I only have about 5 minutes. So this is a super fast demonstration. And I would like for you, if you feel inclined to practice with me. Okay, so that you can feel what we've been talking about in a tiny pill, okay? So the letting down of the stressors begins with the awareness of breath. So we're going to do a few rounds of Sukha Pranayama, breathing in and out through the nose in a simple fashion. Then by giving up, I'm going to ask you to shake a little bit, because you're all sitting in an auditorium there, or the other presenters, and I don't know, who knows where. So we're just going to, shake a little bit, be mindful of your neighbors, and then inhale through the nose, Nasarga, and let it out through the mouth. You decide to let go of that stress. The third one is Shabda Pratyahara. This is a really long and very deep practice. We're just going to do in a tiny little pill. It's listening to sounds in your head and around and tuning into that. And then in the last one, I'm going to invite you to recite one Om mantra, Pranava Om Japa, just one. To, of course, invoke the blessings of a higher consciousness. Because, yes, we are earthlings on this earthly plane. We are social beings, for sure, with the others, but we're also so much more than that. We're solar beings. We're divine. We're part of a galaxy that is marvelous and mysterious. And all of these devas, all of these principles of light and goodness are there for us to guide us, whether you think of them as a star or as the galaxy or actual, gods and goddesses. We're not alone. Okay, so that's really important. So let's try it, okay, if you like. So find a position that is aligned if you can. So you don't have to sit straight. You can't sit straight. Our spine is in a curve. But see if you could align yourself and notice, relax your eyes. You don't have to look at the screen right now. You can relax your eyes, take a deep breath in, and let it out. We're gonna do 3 rounds of Sukha Pranayama on counts of 4 through the nose. Exhale to begin. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Very good. Now, feel any tension in your body, whether it's your physical body, emotional, mental body. Feel any stress you may feel and begin to shake your hands, almost as if you were cleaning up, as our beloved Amaji mentions, often the psychic cobwebs. So you can shake and begin to then catch as you inhale through the nose and release it through your mouth. We'll do this 3 more times. I know it's a little funny if you've never done it in front of your friends there. Just do it. Don't worry about it. Just breathe. Catch all of the stress. Release it. One last time. Shake it, shake it. Shake your head. Inhale. Relax. Notice. Ottimo. Amazing. You did amazing. Then moving into the giving in. Now that the stress is out, I'm going to bring in higher consciousness. So relax your brain, relax your mind, relax your eyes and your lips, relax your shoulders and your chest, relax your belly. And observe this quiet mind, the witness that is behind all the chit chat, all of the stressing voices. There's a silent witness there. That's your higher consciousness that is always quiet and always there for you to connect with. Always, always. Okay. And then lastly, for the sake of time, we're going to bring our hands together in the Namaskaram Mudra. This is an international gesture of prayer. We're going to exhale here, inhale. We'll chant one mantra, Om. Om. Thank you so much. So to summarize, this is something that you can do in 5 minutes like now, or it's something that you can do in 1 hour by stretching all this, but it's always there for you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your invitation. It's a great honor to be able to be with you. I hope to come to Pondicherry to meet you soon. That would be amazing. And you can teach me something about medicine that I don't know. And thank you all so much. And thanks all of the professors and all of the teachers here for your invitation. And yes, thank you so much, Professor.
I think students are going to be benefited. Rob, you are able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
And I think in a short time, you told how to develop the yes, and I think they were all doing the exercise as you are there. And I'm sure that we'll be happy to see you in real life here, so that it will be more interesting than online. So I'm sure that next time you will visit us, students. And if they have any questions, anybody wants to ask anything, madam? Anybody wants to ask anything?
Sorry, I can't hear you too well. I don't know if it's my connection or yours.
We can hear you. We can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on that.
You talked in detail about the issues, ignorance, egoism, how we have to improve our attitude and get out of things so that we will be very thankful to you. And you gave them some demonstration also, which they like, because they are sitting for some time now. So unless you give physical demonstration, sitting also becomes difficult. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm very available for all of the students who may have questions to direct them to the Parampara. So if you have any questions, just contact me and I can direct you to Dr. Nanda or answer in a humble way anything that I may be able to answer. So it's an open channel. Thank you so much, everyone.
Sure, madam. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And now I requested Dr. Rajan sir, DP sir, to challenge the session for the speaker, Yoga Sadhiki Ellen Nasha.
Sir, do you able to hear me? Hello? Yeah, okay. Okay. Very good afternoon to all. Myself, Dr. Rajan, Vice Principal of Arboretum Medical College. Before I start the introduction of speaker, I would like to congratulate the organizing team for organizing the program very well. And also I would like to thank the organizing team for giving this opportunity to chair the sessions. Let us move on to the introduction of the speaker. Our speaker today for this session is Yoga Sadhaki Ellen Nashes, Director, Yoga and Wellness.
You're ready for me? Namaste.
For all, Australia, Certified Psychology, James Cook University, and Nutritional Medicine. She had overcome major accidents in her life. One was she met her motor vehicle accident, which resulted in a broken pelvis as well as sacroiliac joint. And the other one was she faced a breast cancer during a pregnancy. Both instances made her to realize the benefit of the yoga in her life. So thereafter, she continued teaching yoga in hospitals, school, kindergartens, studios, homes, and offices, club, retreats, allied health settings, as well as now she's along with us to give the same yoga therapy. I welcome you, ma'am. Now over to you.
Namaste. Thank you for having me. Am I heard? Are you hearing me? Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Very able to hear you.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Dr. Sujita. That was a lovely practice. And I'm so grateful for Dr. Ananda and really grateful to see Professor Archudan again. It's some time since I've seen him. I'd like to start by recognising the deep and continuous connection to country that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and the First peoples of our nations. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the lands, winds and waters on which our service is delivered. These are the Yungambeh people of the Gold Coast area. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders past and present and emerging. Additionally, I acknowledge all the rishis, traditional sages, gurus, teachers and lineages of yoga and show deep gratitude and respect for these practices and teachings being passed down over the many years. It is with honour that we continue to offer these teachings to our clients and with our best intentions, care, understanding, and respect to those who have taught them to us. I have been teaching yoga for 10 years and probably a yoga therapist for around 7. As we said, I'm the Director of Yoga and Wellness for All, and we offer community classes as well as working with participants under our National Disability Insurance Scheme in our country. I'm a lifelong student of yoga. I find that yoga, the science of yoga is so extensive that it will take me this lifetime for sure. And I'm currently updating my skills in Sanskrit and Sutra. So if I mispronounce anything in Sanskrit, I'm truly sorry. It was not my intent for sure. And I have wholehearted respect and care for the tradition. I am a member of the Australasian Association of Yoga Therapists and also the International Association of Yoga Therapists. I'm a committee member with the AAYT and I'm the lead in the accreditation and training for yoga therapy on that committee, as well as we're in the process of acknowledging the tradition or the profession of yoga therapy with our National Disability Insurance Scheme. So that's quite a major thing that we're looking at the moment. As I said, I was in India in 2019. I was deeply honoured to be at the Mahatma Gandhi Medical College and Research Institute at the Sri Balaji Vidyapith under Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani, and I interned in SITA in the neurology, neurosurgery and OBG departments. So that was a great experience for me because in our country, it's very difficult to get yoga into clinical settings. We're making headway, but we're a ways off, you know. Yeah, as you said, thank you for acknowledging I'm a 2-time survivor of breast cancer now. I came home from India with it and I've recently had a breast reconstruction due to the motor vehicle accident and after having the breast cancer. So I kind of wanted to bring that in because yoga therapy looks at the whole person, and it's so important to look at the whole person when we look at a person medically, because something that happened to me when I was 22 in a motor vehicle accident affected something that happened to me in 2019 with a breast surgery. And that's now resulted in me having to have a reconstruction to put some symmetry back into my body and stop causing some, you know, pain and other issues that go on. So it kind of adds to the talk that I wanted to bring today. So that's about yoga therapy, and yoga therapy is not better, different, or separate to yoga in any way. It's a part of the big system of yoga. And yoga therapists are delivering the tools and practices of yoga to, well, in Australia, we're not to use the word patients, but I will because it's okay in India. So we work with a patient, one-to-one, or a group of patients. How is it different? So if you and again, this differs over different lineages, but if you're a yoga teacher, the application is different. You might be teaching a classical posture, or and you might come in on the safety of that posture and how to execute it. And a yoga therapist will do that as well, but they are really carefully chosen tools that apply to the client's needs, the patient's needs, considering their condition. So say we're teaching a yoga class, a general class, we will have a structure to that class. There will be a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you might, this is pulling from pie in the sky, but you might do some back bends, you might do some twists, standing postures, seated postures, meditation, breath work. And a yoga therapy session may not look anything like that. We may not do any of those things. We may do one of them. We may not focus on a whole flow of a class like a vinyasa or a current flow. So, yeah, we have to consider the person that we're working with, the person or people in front of us, and how does it make it, how would it be different, and how will we find the needs is through the assessment process. And this is how it makes teaching, the delivery and the application of yoga in yoga therapy different to yoga teaching per se. So, Pariksa. I'm getting a fair bit of interference. If someone could mute the other speakers. Great, thank you. So yeah, Pariksa meaning a comprehensive observation. And that's what our assessment is. So I was trained under the ViewHarm assessment process with, oops, I am sorry. I'm just looking for my presentation. Is my screen being shared?
Not yet.
Lovely. Can we share the screen? I don't have many slides, but I want to talk to a couple of them. I'll continue on to do that. Share screen. Yep. Okay, now. Yes, we have this. Okay, so in my yoga therapy training, I was trained under the ViewHarm model, which just means an organisation of sharing. It's an organisation of the assessment. The Pariksa, meaning the Hayam, which is the patient, the problem or the issue, the Hetu, the cause, the Hanam, which is the goal, and the Upayam, the tools. This is then looked at through the methods, darshanam, the observation, sparshanam, palpation or touch, prashnam, the interview history, and nadi pariksa, the pulse taking. We're in many settings in Australia, we're not to take the pulse. While I worked with Dr. Ananda, I came to learn that the Gitananda lineage has the Dwadasha, Roga, Lashana, Anakrama, which is the 12-point system of diagnosis and health evaluation. So regardless, it seems to be that most lineages have this comprehensive tool to assess anyway. Which is what I'm finding is the what separates yoga therapy. When, just as in all medical settings, once we have the assessment, we need to triage. We need to find out what is the most important priority to work with our person or people. And so we will do that by looking at the symptoms, the cause of the symptoms, and from there, we can start to think about programming for their therapy journey. it's quite interesting in many circles. I find that we'll hear things advertised, you know, yoga for cancer, yoga for back care, and this kind of goes against the way that we look at yoga therapy, because things are not the same. You know, there are very true that there may be some tools that are very beneficial for bad backs. However, like when you think of a brain injury, for example, which many of my clients have, no two are the same. There's different parts of the brain that are affected. And not only that, there's the idiosyncrasies that the person has that comes with the main focus of their treatment. So it might be that the brain injury is the main focus, but there's all these other things. They might have had childhood trauma. They may have financial issues. They might have a different job. They might come with a shoulder injury or a back injury. And we have to look at the whole person. All of these things impact that person in many different ways. So, and I feel like, in my opinion anyway, this is what makes yoga therapy so effective, that we are looking at the whole person. We assess, we treat what might be causing the issues of the overall picture, not just the symptoms. So if someone comes complaining of headaches, we will definitely look at that, but we want to find out, where do we feel this is being caused from? And it often can stem into deeper things, as we know. So once we go through this assessment process and we're starting to think about then what models that we could use to work with our people. And there's so many tools available to us in yoga. We might look at their constitution through the doshas. The chakras are always important. This Panchamaya Kosha model is always a favorite of mine. We're looking at the 5 sheaths of the person that makes the whole person. So the Annamaya Kosha is the physical body. We extend into the energetic field through the Pranamaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha, the daily mind, everyday mind. The Vijnanamaya Kosha in the wisdom, the higher intellect. And Anandamaya Kosha, that outer layer, that bliss level. So it really sort of gives us a tool to be able to segregate and assess, and to start to be peeling away and coming back to what we believe could be the root cause, which we'll uncover as we work with the person. So we're getting ready to start to choose the program and what program we're going to address with the person. And how do we know what program will work with the person? And first of all, I always say, we've got to actually do the program. That's the first thing. It's quite simple, isn't it? But if we don't do the program, if we don't do the yoga, don't do the practices, well, no, there will be no effect. And I have lots of people saying, well, I might just do this 2 days a week, or I might do it 5 days a week. But in actual fact, our life is 7 days a week. So if we want to see the effects, we need to put some effort in. In saying that, 2 ingredients that I find really essential are success. I mean, we want the person to start feeling success almost immediately. We want to give them some tools to do that they feel that they can competently do, that they can undertake, so that they don't feel like it's such a challenge that it's going to be hard for them to achieve it. We want to start in that way. Generally, I say to people, look, 3 to 5 tools is really excellent to start with. And some people are going to need just 1. That will be their maximum when we start working with them. And we need to find that acceptance of the program as well, and that's a big ask, because we're just meeting them. They don't know us in many cases. Some of them don't know yoga. When I went to India and I was working in the hospital, I was so astonished that in Australia, we just think that every Indian person knows yoga and has grown up with it, but that was not the case. So it's new to them in many cases. So it's a big ask. And it really depends very much on that therapeutic relationship from the therapist working with the person. So we want to really encourage, we never want to scold them. We really want to build them up with successful practices that they can develop over time into a full practice. And like I said before, a full practice for one person might be just three practices. It might not be much more. A full practice for someone else might be an hour, someone else 10 minutes. It depends what the condition is. When we are how do we sort of watch this program a long time? Well, what's really important is the reassessment. We come back to that assessment again. And when we see somebody for the subsequent session, we want to check in with them first of all. How are you? How did you sleep? What was your diet like? How was your digestive system? What did you find easy about the practice? What did you find difficult? When did you do it? Did you do it? Did you find it hard to do? Did you not enjoy some parts of it? Did you enjoy other parts of it? We really want to pull apart how did it go for them, because this starts to make this big picture. And as we move through that session, we might get them to show us their practice that they've been doing since the last time we've seen them. And this is usually when we can tell whether they did their homework or they didn't. But again, we're remembering that we want to keep that therapeutic relationship good. So we never scold, as I said. We just encourage them to maybe take the practice up a bit more. In that process of seeing the practice, we might decide to change some of the activities that we've given them or reprogram in a different way when we see how it presents. The other part of that to say is that we don't work in isolation. So again, we come back to this is a whole person, and they've gone away and they've done their practice. They've got a family life, they've got work life, they've got doctors who are also working with them. And, we need to observe this over the whole situation. We don't want to give them a practice that the practice is the dominant part of their life. We want to give and everything else kind of fits in around them. We want to give them a practice that can fit into the life that they already have. And it isn't too cumbersome, because we want the continuation. We want them to see that success. So in healthcare, we're looking, so when we move that whole yoga therapy model and we're looking at working in healthcare, we are working with people who are ill. We are working with people that may have had surgery. So it's not the same as a general class. These people are in a healthcare system because of a reason. We need to meet them where they're at. And that's where we start, we talk about 3 to 5 tools, but then the one tool might be just more than enough and small amounts. We also look at then breaking down postures so that they're available to them. We can start a practice. We want to always achieve a full expression of a posture, but it's a journey to get to that place. It doesn't start in the beginning. And we want to, I'm always saying to patients or clients that they have this sort of trepidation about, can I do this? Am I able to, especially when they're ill and not feeling well, or they've just had surgery. And I will say, well, Krishnamacharya said, if you can breathe, you can do yoga. So that pretty much opens it up to everybody, right? So there'll always be some tool that we can offer them. yoga therapy is a journey, and the yoga therapist walks alongside of the patient or the client. We're not applying the tools to them. We're holding their hand while they walk through the journey of yoga therapy. And it's a journey of the mind. As whenever we talk yoga, we need to come back to Maharishi Patanjali. As we said before, he gave us the 4 sutras, which are really the heart of yoga. He gives us all of the tools in here. He tells us what yoga is, the pathway to yoga, what are the obstacles, what are the methods, and what are the tools. It's all in there. It's very well laid out. So Yoga Sutra 2 in chapter 1, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, I use the really basic interpretation of this: mind fluctuation cessation. Now, to me, that just really wraps it up neatly, so that this is our goal for yoga. And if we look at the 8 limbs, Samadhi at the top, where the seer's nature resides, and the mind is quiet. There is no fluctuation. So this is always the goal in the background for yoga therapy, because it's a part of the tool of yoga. Yeah. So this is why I say it's a journey of the mind. And if we have we heard before about the kleshas, they're the interruptions or the obstacles. Obstacles to attaining this mind fluctuation cessation, that's what's coming in. And if we think about having this equanimity in the mind, it's also there in the body. Patanjali talks about this as well. And the breath is one of our observances for seeing this fluctuation cessation. And these are all signs and guideposts along the journey of yoga therapy, and to assess, to be able to see what we're achieving with people as we move through. So I quickly want to say a little about our nervous system, because, it's so important in the process of yoga therapy. It's really good for the observation and assessment, but it's the tool as well as being the process of what we're trying to achieve here. So, our nervous system's job is to alert us to danger. It's constantly scanning for safety. And if you are, if you can't find safety, there'll be reaction, or there'll be a shutdown. So you'll either fight or avoid, or you will shut down and freeze. There'll be no action at all. If you're a person that's had a lot of dangers in your life, adverse childhood experiences or trauma in some way, you're going to be hypervigilant to dangers. So your nervous system will be constantly scanning for dangers. This puts the mind on high alert. And if we think about this in a medical sense, let's just think about conditions such as stroke, seizure. Think about the person. The person was maybe fine and functioning, and then all of a sudden there's a stroke or a seizure. It's an extremely frightening experience for them. They're often left with deficits after the event. They're very terrified about another event occurring. It changes their life in enormous ways. So that's really putting the mind into not only the physiological changes that have already happened because of the event, but the mind's in hyper alert because of what's happened with the event. So that it's twofold. It's a very high fear cycle. So once we start to get into that fear cycle, it's that constant hyper alert state that many people, particularly in the West, are in. We're constantly in this. And, when you talk about, depression, anxiety, stressors, you know, just everyday language that we're hearing with people nowadays, unfortunately. In certain situations, you know, we're even into that survival mode, and it can come from something as simple as, like, if you think about a rolled ankle, a person rolls the ankle, pain is actually a good thing in this case, because it's sending a message to the brain to get off the ankle, rest, elevate, let it repair, don't cause any more damage to the ankle. So this is a good situation. There's a stressor there with the pain. And what happens then is the person can sometimes get into this fear cycle with the pain, which should be around while the repair is on, so as the person doesn't over-injure the already injured ankle. But what often happens is the person has a fear cycle built up then around more pain or more injury, and they create what we're seeing they create chronic pain. So after the healing has occurred, the normal healing time has happened, the body has repaired, but it's the thought cycle that continues on to in fear that then creates a chronic pain cycle that's being spoken about as neuroplastic pain. So it just shows you the strength of this fear cycle and what it can actually do in the body. So when we come back to the programming and what's going to suit in yoga therapy, we think about adapting postures. And I wanted to bring in the nervous system and this fear cycle because I wanted to tie in with why we adapt the postures and what we're looking to achieve here. So when I was in India, I practiced the wonderful practice of Kaya Kriya. And so this practice is done by moving the feet with the breath. Then when we move the arms with the breath, we move the head with the breath, and then we come back and we move the feet, the arms, and the head in one movement. It's an absolutely fantastic practice for neurological conditions. It works really well, but it's also good to integrate mind, body, and relax. It's a great relaxation. So when I did this, and I mentioned before I had a broken pelvis, it really showed me personally how the body holds. It has holding patterns. So the body will hold trauma. It will hold, past physical trauma. It'll hold emotional trauma in the body. And in yoga, we always talk about how the issues are in the tissues. Well, this is exactly what I was talking about. So when I did this, my right leg was doing something unknown to my brain or the rest of my body. It just started moving in a different way to what I expected it to. So it showed me clearly. And I'm just going to show you a couple of things with adapting postures. So just so that you get a bit of experience with what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you first a full expression of the posture Matsiasana. It's a great posture for opening. So I'm placing my palms face down under the buttocks. I'm stretching my legs long. As I lean into my elbows and I lift my chest, point my toes away, I can lift the chest, take the head back and bring it down to the floor. So from here, I'm just coming out of the posture. That is a fairly strong posture, which I wouldn't have been able to do 4 weeks ago after my surgery. And you can imagine that if people have holding patterns in their body, like I explained with Kaya Kriya, they're not going to be able to hold into that posture. The other thing is when the brain is on high alert, we tend to hold to the midline. We draw into our center line because we're trying to find safety. So we draw into our center. So holding in a posture like that is not going to bring that stira sukham, that ease and comfortability of the posture over time. So when we use an adaptation of that posture. So I'm using a bolster here. You don't need to use a bolster. You could use a rolled towel, but we're using a prop of some kind. So I'm just popping that here. Now I'm coming over the bolster. So I'm going to wriggle my hips down so that my armpits come to the very top of the bolster. I've just got a yoga brick here. You could use a cushion or a pillow. You don't have to have, these are all from India, by the way, these props. And then from there, I would use some weight. And I'm going to use that in the way of a yoga blanket. These are just cotton blankets, but they're really quite heavy. So we place that over the body, over the legs along. And I bring in, these are just eye pillows. So we're using them for weight. They're just sand-filled eye pillows. Just putting them on the shoulders. It's easier when I'm the therapist and I'm not putting them on myself, of course. And, you know, we will use one for the eyes and one in each hand. Now, here, I'm able to get the chest open. I'm able to have more access to the lungs. I'm in the position of the Matsiasana, but I'm in a comfortable, stable, sthira sukham, to be able to hold this posture. The therapist, who would be me, would be guiding a breath practice, or, you know, maybe a relaxation or something like that, which with all the weight in the body, using the eye pillows and the weight of the blankets, we allow the body to drop. We let go of those holding patterns. And this is eventually brings the mind off that hyper alert and into a low alert state in the parasympathetic nervous system. So extremely important. I know that, you know, certain lineages will say we don't like to use props because they're dangerous. And, you know, I always say, well, you know, the internet's pretty dangerous too, some of the things on there, and we still use that. We've got to train people to use them properly. So we're just using a couple of blocks, a bolster, take the body down onto this support. So the straps, these are the ones that people don't like, but I'm telling you, in this instance, I'm placing it over my legs here, and then I can use my legs to come together. And these straps are actually holding my thighs. Your femur bone is very heavy. If we let two femur bones pull out to the side, we're going to pull on the SIJ, the sacroiliac joint. And if we want someone to be in a relaxed, stable position for some time, that's not ideal. The other thing about this is using the blankets gives that sense of being able to be open, but also giving a sense of security to the person. We can use the eye pillows for weight as well. And it allows the person to drop here. And if there's been any, you know, trauma that the person doesn't feel comfortable with being open, sexual abuse is one of those, not a great position for that. But like this, it's actually quite safe for them using blankets. So that is another example of using props. I'm sorry, can you say that again? I'm not hearing.
Are you able to hear me?
Oh, okay, you're giving me a time wrap up. That's wonderful. Thank you for that. Yeah, so we can use the bolster also to place underneath the knees, because people lying the back long on the floor without something just to prop under the knees puts a fair bit of strain on the lower back. It might be okay for younger people or people without back injury, but the props are really there to support. So I'm going to just do a quick wrap up of why do we want yoga therapy in healthcare and the relationship of a yoga therapist to other medical supports. So we want it to be an adjunct. We want it to be an integrated service, just like anything else in the hospital. We want to have communication between the patients and the patient's multidisciplinary team. So that's the way I operate here with my people. I'm currently speaking for one person, a physiotherapist, a vestibular physiotherapist, an occupational therapist, a psychiatrist, and a psychologist. So we communicate about what I'm doing, what they're doing, how we can work together. So maybe using similar language so that the patient who's got to deal with all of us, that's 6 people looking after that person, doesn't have 6 different breath practices that they've got to learn and remember, or different language to take in. So it just takes another load of stress off for that patient who's unwell. This is a post-stroke patient, so she's already got a lot going on. The other thing is that when we all work together, the patient feels extremely well supported. It's like a family, a medical family supporting this person. We find better outcomes for patients. We often find that the medications are reduced. Definitely antidepressant, seizure, and pain medication. They're often reduced just through yoga therapy. They come out of hospital with a better frame of mind because they're in control of their health. As I said before, the yoga therapist holds their hand along this journey. We don't apply it to them, we walk alongside of them. So they are actually in control. They have better functionality and they have less stress, of course, and they have tools to use when they go home for maintenance of their health condition, but also tools to use in other situations that crop up to lessen their stress. So it's a really effective way to empower the person themselves. It's very cost effective. A yoga therapist doesn't get paid as much as a doctor or a physiotherapist. So it's way more cost effective in the health system. And down the track, you could have a yoga therapist handing over to a yoga teacher. So it could even be more cost effective. I just thought I'd show you quickly. I know we're wrapping up. This is me working in the hospital in India, and I love these fellows. They just absolutely were devoted and trusting from the moment that I met them. They committed to the practice. They totally believe in what's happening, and they had great outcomes. This fellow he's doing some cross-lateral movement. He was 8 years with paraplegic actually, and we started to get movement back in his toes after 3 weeks of yoga therapy after 8 years. So, and this fellow, he's just really absolutely into the practice, so I really admired that. This is one of my clients in Australia. He has cerebral palsy and an intellectual disability as well. So I'm showing him with hands-on some movement so he can feel that in his joints, and then he can emulate it himself as I'm showing him further on. So I'm exaggerating the movement so that he can follow me. But then here he is using props and relaxing. That's not something that, because he's in a wheelchair, that's not something that he would be able to do without the use of those props. His hips are raised, so he's getting the benefits of that as well. I feel like, I've got lots of examples of different situations where yoga therapy has worked well. I've got a very good example of someone that worked that was in the Mahatma Gandhi hospital who had a brain tumor. He had 3 surgeries while I was there. He had some cerebral fluid drip after one. And pretty much when we see him here, he was non-verbal. He was very angry because he'd lost his speech and he had left side weakness. He could not sit when I first met him. And I continued to see him sometimes twice a day, sometimes once, for about 3 weeks. And I was telling him to imagine the sound in his mind, and he would look at me with such great anger because he was like, I can't speak, and he was very frustrated, but he continued on. And I went in there one day and he said hello to me. He spoke. And when I asked him, how did you think to try to speak? You know, you couldn't speak. How did you think to try that? And he just said to me, which were the sounds that I was making to him. I was splitting down the pranava for him. So it was amazing. And here he is walking now too. So really great outcomes. Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, again, you can pass them through and I'm happy to send them back to you. But I'm passionate about yoga therapy, and I'm very passionate about yoga therapy being in the healthcare systems. I've seen great outcomes, and I think that you, as the up and coming doctors of tomorrow, should really look into it, advocate for it, and work with it. So thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. And the session is open for the discussion.
Thank you. Stop sharing. There we go.
She did a wonderful therapy sessions with Mahatma and her experience also. So we would like to give a great applause to her. Please. Gopilan sir to chant the sessions. The speaker, Dr. Anna Balaji sir.
Now we have come to the end of our webinar session for the last talk on Ashtanga Yoga, a traditional and modern perspectives. I feel much honored and happy to invite our speaker, Yogacharya Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavani, Professor and Director, Balaji. I welcome you, sir. That I will like to give a brief introduction on our speaker.
Please keep it shorter than 2 minutes. We are already late, so don't waste time on introduction. Please. Namaste, sir.
Has done his MBBS and degrees on yoga. He's currently working as director and professor. He's a member of numerous expert committees, National Board for Promotion of Yoga and Naturopathy, Yoga Certification Board, Scientific Advisory Committee, expert committees for celebration of International Yoga Day and National Yoga and Diabetes Program. He's consultant resource person for IGU and his collaborative center in traditional medicine. He's presently as Joint Secretary of Indian Yoga Association. He's chairman and Ashram Acharya of International Center for Yoga Education and Research at Ananda Ashram, Pondicherry, India. His son and successor of the international acclaimed yoga team of Yoga Master Dr. Swami Geetananda, Giri Guru Maharaj, and Yogacharya Kalaimamuni Ammaji Meenakshi Devi Bhavani. Recipient of prestigious awards and others, and a very happy. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I would first of all like to thank the Sri Vinayaka Missions, Deepdevi University, and especially the AVMC management, administration, the senior members of the team at AVMC, including my own teachers who are there, including Vishnu Bhatt sir. A pleasure to see you, sir. I see Lakshmi Jatia ma'am also there, and so many others. And a pleasure to be here for this event. the AVMC Yoga Mahotsav, and have with me the very amazing speakers. I've been following it from background of the scene because, as you can see, we have our own Mahotsav going on. So a lot of yoga all around, here, there, and everywhere. Wherever you look, there seems to be only yoga day now. And so because of that, I was following it from behind the scene, but we have had very good quality presentations today. I would like to begin by invoking the Guru Parampara for their blessings. Om Tat Paramparaye Vidmahe Jnana Lingeshwaraya Dhimahi Tanno Guru Prachodayate Om Om Yoga Maharshi Dr. Swami Geetananda Giri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Puduvai Kalaimamani Puduvai Shakti Yoga Charini Amma Ji Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani Guru Mata Ki Jai. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om. Today I'm going to share some thoughts about the Ashtanga Yoga of Maharishi Patanjali, which is the basis of the system of yoga, which is both an art and science. When we talk about yoga, it is based on a darshana, a perspective of the universe. And this perspective, though it is timeless, though it began with the beginning of life and creation itself, has been codified by the master known as Maharishi Patanjali. In his Yoga Darshana, Yoga Sutras, he gives us the concept of Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga. A similar parallel can be found in our South Indian Saiva Siddhanta Yoga tradition, the Siddha Yoga Marga, where Saint Tirumula has given us 3,000 verses of the Tirumandiram, in which he talks about Ashtanga Yoga as Yamam Niyamam, Ennila Adanam, Nayamur Pranayamam, and he talks about Dharanai, Dhyana, and Samadhi. The same Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi that Maharishi Patanjali talks about. Now, these are teachings that are many thousands of years old. How are they relevant today in modern times? How are they relevant for us when we are talking about a healthcare institution, especially of the modern medical variety? We know that there are so many disorders that are of a pandemic nature, that are even bigger than the COVID pandemic that has ravaged humanity for the last 2 years. The non-communicable diseases, the lifestyle disorders are the bane of humanity that are much bigger. In fact, next to a graph of those conditions, the COVID numbers will pale into insignificance. That's how big those numbers are. We are talking about diseases for which we don't have cure. We only have management, and we try to control the condition as long as we can, reduce the suffering in the individual, and try to enhance the quality of life. Today we have 1 diabetes. Few months we need 2, after a few more months 3, after a few more years insulin, and then as we go on we realize that the kidneys are failing, the eyes are failing, the heart is failing, and we keep on adding one component on top of another component. This is why in the modern medical system we require to strengthen an aspect that is missing, and that aspect is stress management, that aspect is relaxation, and that aspect is the best lifestyle ever developed for humanity, which is what yoga is all about. Yoga as the best lifestyle ever adopted for the sake of humanity. Where does the lifestyle start? It starts with your own relationship with you. And then it continues into the relationship you have with others. If you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, no amount of insulin, no amount of any sort of anti-diabetic drugs or anti-hypertensive drugs are going to help you. How do you relate to yourself? Well, you relate to yourself by, first of all, becoming human. You have to become human. We think we are human beings. We are subhuman doings today. We are living like animals. We are behaving like animals. We need to restrict that lower subhuman nature. And for that, Maharishi Patanjali gives us the Yama. The 5 Yama, which begin with non-violence, ahimsa. Then you have along with that, the fact that we should be truthful to what the reality is, satya. And then not steal that which doesn't belong to ourselves, asteya. Restrain our creative impulses and channelize them in a dharmic, responsible manner, brahmacharya. And aparigraha, well, realize that you have some things, but others also have things. Don't covet that which is not yours. All of these enable us to understand ourselves and how we relate with other people in our society. And then the niyama that enables us to raise into our humaneness, enhance the humanity quotient in all of us. And that is by purity, saucha, attaining a state of contentment, maintaining that sense of contentment, which is santosha. And then the triple vaccine of Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga, which enables us to eradicate the kleshas, that are the impurities that are preventing us from being ourselves. So through the Yama Niyama, which together are called Adhikara Yoga, and the Kriya Yoga that is embedded within them, we are starting to become a human being. We are starting to manifest the human qualities which include love, gratitude, respect, compassion, kinsmanship, and to support each other on our way back home, sweet home. These are the qualities that are essential to become a noble human being, which is what yoga is all about. Now, once you have worked on these two, you start to have an enhancement of what is called social health. The World Health Organization defines health as not merely the absence of disease or deformity, but a dynamic sense of wellness, well-being at the physical, the mental, the social, and the spiritual aspects. So the social domain of health, how can you enhance it in modern times? Well, by the observance of the Yama Niyama that are called Adhikara Yoga, and they are no option yoga. Either you have to live them or not live them. If you live them, you will be a human being. If you don't live them, you are a subhuman human doing. And that is why it is essential for us to make a choice. Are we satisfied to be like a dog, or do we want to be a human being? A dog being a dog is absolutely perfect. It's living its dharma. A cat being a cat is living its dharma. A donkey being a donkey is living its dharma. Perfectly okay, acceptable. But a human being living as a dog, a monkey, as a donkey, that is not acceptable. Social health, that domain is enhanced by the observance of Yama Niyama. We then want to have the domain of physical health. How can we enhance physical health? The yoga system gives us the asana and the pranayama. By working with the body, by learning how to be aware of the body, how to utilize the body as it is meant to be used, how you strengthen the psycho-neuro-immunological axis, how you strengthen your psycho-neuro-endocrinological axis, how you can enhance all the systems of the body, be it cardiovascular, nervous system, respiratory system, excretory system, or digestive system. You are enhancing through the practice of different postures that change the psychophysiology of the human functioning, restoring a sense of homeostatic balance, reducing the allostatic load, and regaining the autonomic balance by strengthening the vagal component and reducing the overactive sympathetic dominance. The pranayama is the key to autonomic balance, because the moment you change the way you breathe, you change the way you live. Because when you breathe unhealthy, you will be unhealthy. When you breathe healthy, you will be healthy. The formula is very simple. No complication at all. changing the pattern of breathing so that we experience the life force called prana. Because all the disease and decay that occurs, the degeneration that occurs, is a loss of that vital life force. How can you regain, retain, attain, maintain, sustain that life? That is where the pranayama sadhana comes in. So asana pranayama sadhana, enhancing the physical domain of health. So social domain, tick. Physical domain, tick. Now what is left? Mental domain of health. Our minds are worse than any drunken monkey stung by a scorpion standing on a hot tin roof in the middle of Indian summer. Add to it, infected by COVID. Add to it whatever you want. That's what our minds are like. And you want to restrain the mind. You want to gain control over the mind. And for that, the practices of pratyahara, withdrawal from the sensory impulses, so that instead of being a reactive species, you become a responsive human being. We are a reactive species these days. Even before somebody abuses us, we are already punching them in the nose. They may have just said hello, good morning, and we punch them in the nose because we are reactive. You move from being reactive to being responsive. You move from being instinctive and impulsive to becoming intuitive. We have to grow. And for that, pratyahara and dharana, where the mind is focused, a mind that is scattered is brought into a one-pointed ekagrata focus. We train our mind. So yoga as a mind training tool, a tool to train the mind is described in the Yoga Vashishta. Prasanna mana. For that, upaya. It is a tool. And you attain mental health. And then, of course, the highest level of health is spiritual health. And for that, the practice of dhyana, which is the highest level of the internal yoga, the antaranga yoga, the internal aspects, where you come into that state of meditation, where you lose the lower you and you start to understand the higher aspect of who you truly are. Dhyana and Samadhi. This morning, my dear colleague, Dr. Ganesh Rao, described Samadhi as the state of perfect health, where you have gone beyond the Adi and the Vyadi, which are the psychosomatic disorders, and you have come into a steady state of homeostatic balance, in a dynamic state of equilibrium, which is what health is all about. So the four domains of health, the social by Yama Niyama, the physical by Asana Pranayama, the mental by Pratyahara and Dharana, and the spiritual by Dhyana Samadhi. Maharishi Patanjali, long before the World Health Organization came into existence and gave us this definition, has given us the tools and the path that can enable us to have a wholesome state of Purna Swasth. Swasth is the state of wholesome health. Today, as doctors, all of us are trying to cure diseases. Curing is important, but more important is, can you heal the human being? Can you heal the individual who has the disease? You are trying to cure the disease, but you have to heal the individual, because cancer, when you remove the cancer, we say we have cured it, but the individual is still not healed. And that is why when the yoga is brought in as an adjuvant therapy, utilizing all the practices and principles of the Ashtanga, we are starting to enable the person to heal. Because to heal, you need to have relaxation. The greatest contribution of yoga to healthcare is in non-drug based, cost-effective, self-empowering relaxation. The individual can learn how to relax themselves, because when you relax yourself, the perfusion pressure, the tissue perfusion will be enhanced. All your tissues will have all the nutrient supply it needs, all the raw material to heal. And in that process, you heal yourself. Man, know thyself, said the ancient master. Man, heal thyself is what Yoga Chikitsa is all about. We have the infinite healing potential. We need to tap into it. Because when we tap into that healing potential, we are going to be to those who are seeking our health care. If we only aim at the eradication of disease and we do not look at the whole person, we are performing piecemeal therapy, which will never give an enhancement of that sense of wellness, swast, which is Purnam, wholesome. This is why the principles of Ashtanga Yoga of Maharishi Patanjali must be adopted in healthcare. The system of Yoga Chikitsa, Yoga therapy as an adjuvant therapy, along with the modern medical therapy, will reduce the side effects. It will enhance patient compliance and also reduce the spiraling costs of modern healthcare. This is our aim, that we bring together yoga therapy and modern medicine as an integrative therapy for the sake of the individual, the patient who is seeking for care. When we keep the patient as the center of our focus and we want to enhance their sense of wellness, we truly become the healthcare professional that we want to be. I wish that each and every person listening to this today take a sankalpa, take a oath within the mind that I will be the best healthcare provider I can be by training myself in all understanding of what health is, so that every individual who comes to me will have a health enhancing experience through me. May that be so. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share my thoughts with all of you. I congratulate the organizers on this event. I congratulate my fellow speakers for the beautiful presentations today. And I thank you all for being with me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jai Hind. Nandri Vanakkam.
Talk. We were expecting a PowerPoint, but it was very well done, sir. For all the limbs of yoga, 8 limbs, Yama, Nyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratihara, Dhyana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So our students also will take them definitely. The all concepts of health, what you have provided to us. Thank you very much.
The power should lie in the point, not in the PowerPoint.
Exactly. I think that is what I was also thinking. Your powerful talk was more important than the PowerPoint. Very nice.
At the end of the session, now we are at the moment. With immense pleasure, I thank Dean Sir, Administration, Management, Dean Sir, Dean HP Madam, and VP Sir, Physiology Department team, and Community Medicine team, actually said. So, the research director said, Dr. Vishnu said, always there to help and lead the yoga. And in this during the session time also, Vishnu said expressed the major means maximum research on yoga. So the students, there are ICMR projects, students projects are there. Please encourage yours and your student friends to part of that. So with this, I thank Dean Sir, Dean SP Madam, and Vishnu Sir, and VP Sir, and Gopinath Sir, for a wonderful session. Thanking all the speakers, right from the Dr. Venkateshwaran Sir. He had enormous information he shared on yogic diet, means how to lose a weight without weight. Do not weight, lose weight. And Yogacharya Bharata sir, he shared wonderful information on the how to. It is not just elimination or removal, healthy elimination. That is very important by removing the darkness. Tathakshete prakasharanam. Sir wonderfully stated that how to eliminate, healthy eliminate through yogic samatva. Yogacharya Sangeeta Madam expressed very wonderful fourfold relaxation, letting down. So I hope you understand you did well along with the madam. That's makes wonderful evening. Then the Ellen Nasha Madam, through her experience, whatever she learned, and she did it in the yoga therapy MGM, means Mahatma Medical College also. She took great services through yoga therapy, and she is doing in Australia also. And thanking Nasha Madam, and thanking Dr. Ananda Balaji said, for short time, short and sweet, and he made wonderful information to be utilized in our life. Thanking Dr. Sir, and thanking to all the students and participants for this wonderful international hybrid webinar on our planet, our health. Thank you. Time for Yashanta.
I think we can all sing.
Sure. Happily. So can we sing?
Yeah. Jana Gana Mana
Adinayak Jaya Ge Bharat
Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh
Gujarat
Maratha
Dravid Charabanga
Banga Vindhya Himachal Yamuna Ganga Uchala Jaladhi Taranga Tav Shubh Naam
Tav Subhashish Mage
Gahe Tav Jaya Gatha Jan Gana
Mangalanayak Jaya He Bharat Bhaka Vidhara Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He